Hey everybody, it's me, David Brown with DBI, here for this Wednesday's DBI Wednesday tip. And this week I wanted to talk a little bit about resumes and talk to those that might be looking for a new job or putting their resumes together. I wanted to share my tips to really make your resume stand out, and want to also share maybe some basics about resume preparation that I would encourage everyone to do as they start to think about putting something together or updating their resume. The first basic is you've got to customize that resume. When you're putting a resume together, if you've got a specific job in mind, really research the firm, research the website, and research the job description, and make sure that your resume speaks to some points that are being mentioned in that job description. Don't be untruthful, of course, but make sure you present your information and your background in a way that's going to be clearly relatable to what's needed for the firm. The second kind of basic tip that I would share is file size. As designers, we're able to put as much as we want into a portfolio and send gigantic files if we want to, but I would encourage you to keep anything that you send, at least the first introduction, less than 5 megabytes. You want it to be small, you want to make sure it's not going to get bounced around, and you want to keep your information clean and readable as you make a first impression. The last kind of basic tip is proofread. My advice is proofread it again, then have a friend proofread it, and then proofread it one more time. Not only because you want to look professional when you send your resume over, but so many firms and companies nowadays have an AI that goes through your resume before a human eye even sees it. And misspelled words or things of that nature get rejected quite often just through the AI interface, and you never get your resume to a living person. So make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and the apostrophes are in place and all those types of things. So those are kind of the basics that you need to do with every resume that you put together. Really sit down and make sure at least you do these basics when you're redoing your resume. Now, the tips to make it really stand out, I think they're a little different, and you can be a little more creative. And I think that's my first tip. And as designers, we have such an opportunity to be creative. Make sure you're creative. Put your personality into these pages. If you want graphs and charts, color themes, blocking, be creative, but to a point. Make sure that it's readable. Don't overdo it with the creativity, that the data, which is the most important part, gets lost in the mix of what you're trying to put together. But be creative. Use your creative skills to brand yourself in this resume moment. My second tip to really help you stand out is be authentic. And I think this shows up by not using too much lingo. Don't use lingo that maybe your company uses or something that's of the moment in the industry. Keep it more traditional, keep your verbiage more traditional, and I think you'll really stand out when you're being reviewed. The last thing that I would share is brag. Don't be afraid to brag about yourself. Don't be afraid to brag about what you've done, successes that you've had. I even think it's beneficial if you can talk about failures that you've had and how you learn from that. And these can come through in the body of the resume, in bullets underneath the job, or maybe it's even in the cover letter. But when you sit down and present yourself, do not be afraid to brag. And that's it. Those are my tips to really not only put together a solid resume, but put together a resume and portfolio that are really going to stand out when you apply to that new job. Have a great Wednesday, everybody, and I'll talk to you very soon.